Hi everyone, this is Amit. I work in supply chain at McKinsey, and today I want to showcase my second AI use case, Truckwise Agent Ops. This is not a single chatbot, it's a multi-agent system built with LangGraph, which automates the decision to choose between primary or backup carriers or whether to go to the spot market. Today, nearly 73% of US freight moves by truck, and industry revenue is roughly $1 trillion. So, every small decision about which carrier to use and when to go to spot matters at that scale. But if you look from the perspective of a logistics planner, this is a nightmare. They face 5 to 7% tender rejections, drifting target shares, and volatile rates, with constant questions of whether to stay on contract, switch to a backup carrier, or go spot. Now, this is where Truckwise comes in. It's a 24/7 agentic AI built with 5 agents. The first agent is the scout agent, which watches lanes and history, who carried what at what rate per mile for the last 6 weeks, and you can increase this horizon. The second is the analyst agent, which quantifies the money, whether you incurred savings or premium by drifting from the target share. The third is the allocator agent. This recommends a move. You have three options. You can either go spot, switch to a backup carrier, or stay with the primary carrier. The fourth agent is the scribe agent. This records every action into an audit log. So you can click in the application and the action will get recorded real time. The last agent is the strategist agent, which writes a executive SWOT summary for the leadership so they know where the value is. Now, these agents run 24/7, and when human needs to weigh in, you have the option to draft an email with context from the application itself. Now, I've tried to build this in open source as much as possible. So the front end is React and Tailwind, and the back end is Fast API and Pandas. I'm using LangGraph for orchestrating the agents by passing a typed shared state, and I'm using OpenAI and Anthropic to make LLM calls, which are mostly used for explaining and summarizing. The deterministic logic makes the call in terms of how the rules are working. So now let me show you this live in action. So this is the front end of Truckwise Agent Ops. As you can see, we have 4 cards at the top, and at the bottom we have the lane decisions table. I'll give a walkthrough of what everything means here and also show how the agents are run and how we can see the output. So if you look at the lane decisions table, you'll see that there is a lane which is basically the origin destination. There's a primary carrier, a backup carrier, what should be the target share based on the contract for the primary carrier, what was the actual share in the last 6 weeks, what was the primary carrier rate per mile, what's the backup rate per mile, what's the spot rate per mile, and then we have the verdict from the agent whether to go spot, switch to backup, stay primary. And then we have 3 actions with us, which are explain, apply, and ask planner. And what you see as net savings on the top is being calculated by the analyst agent. So depending on whether you are above or below the target share, there can be either savings or premium, whether depending on whether you paid more or paid less. Compliance is tracking the actual share versus the target share. It shows how many lanes, in how many lanes the spot rate is actually cheaper, and where do we need actions from the planner. So for now, because there's so much information, let's run the agent flow and see what the agent tells us, right? And this takes a bit of time. So as you can see here, the agent workflow has been kicked off. So as soon as the workflow is completed, you will see a synthesized summary from the agent on what is the analysis they have done across the lanes. So let's give that a bit of time. So as you can see, the agent run is complete, and the summary is that we have 1,636 lanes where there's an opportunity to go spot, and the agent evaluated 2,610 lane carrier combinations. It's also suggesting what are the top opportunities by dollar per mile gap, and the planner needs to follow up in 974 cases where the gap is less than the threshold. So you get this good summary from the agents. There are some other things that you can also do. So, for example, if you look at the second lane, right, where the agent verdict is switch to backup. So we see that the contract rate is $1.9 and the backup rate is 1.75. That's why it's explaining or telling us to switch to backup. If you click on explain, then here also I've linked this to an LLM. Um, it tells us why this decision is being taken, right? So you can read the summary. And in case you want to apply this change directly, then you can click on apply. So as soon as you see this applied dialog box, um, you can go to the action log. I'm recording this late in the night, so it just got updated at 1:37 a.m. And if I open this action log, this action should be recorded at the bottom. So we see that this was Roadstar as the primary carrier, and we switched it to backup. So this action has been recorded. Now, the third option is you are not clear why something happened, so you need to ask the planner, and you can click on this. What will happen is automatically an email gets drafted. So the subject line is created. What is the lane? What is the context? And you can reach out to the planner and ask for their inputs. So yeah, this is Truckwise Agent Ops. Right now, I am connected to S3 buckets, but what we can also do is if we want to get live feed of spot rates per mile, we can connect through API to DAT feed, and we can get those live rates. So I hope you like this application, and as always, looking for any feedback. Happy learning. Thank you.